Welcome to the only real estate podcast worth listening to, with your hosts Nick Good, Matt Kelderman, and Brian Force. Combined, they have 26 years of experience and have sold over 1,500 homes. Join them each week as they bring you everything you need to know about real estate. And now, here are your hosts, Nick, Matt, and Brian.
What's up, everyone?
Oh, so close.
Yeah.
Almost finished sending that email before
I was sending out a referral text so that Kelderman doesn't get it.
He walked in right when I was calling a referral, so he knows my style
That's
now.
right. Up until the minute we start, we're working.
Yes, sir.
We've got a great show today. We have David Andersen on.
Yeah!
Finally. David is a serial entrepreneur. He was named 2019 Swanepoel's Power 200 to the 200 watch list group. He's the founder of Liondesk, which is a customer relationship management system that is affordable and makes real estate agents more effective, that they can communicate with and follow up with potential customers and clients. So before we get in talking with David, I'm joined here with Brian Force and Matt Kelderman.
Hey.
What's up?
Nothing, man. I'm excited about today. This is I just taught a class this morning in our market center, and it's for newer agents. So I told them all to tune in because we're going to be talking about how important CRMs and follow-up are to your business. I was watching a deal with David where he was doing a video for the California regional MLS that they just launched. I'm sure I'll talk about it a little bit, but throw a stat that 60% of agents don't have a CRM, which blew my friggin' mind. Jeez. So I was making sure to hammer on them to tune in today and make sure they understood what was going on. So, yeah.
What do you got going on, Brian?
I'm good, man. I'm feeling good today. We got the V out.
He's got his chest tattoo out.
Good, man. It's just a good Wednesday all around for me.
Well, I'm excited about this one. I mean, this we've got some. We're really not going to just talk about CRMs. I think that's for a different podcast and a different Facebook group that will remain unnamed here. But everyone always asks, "What's the best CRM out there?"
Yeah.
Right. And
500 comments later.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It's Liondesk. That's what everybody knows.
Yes.
Yep. That's what we always say.
Well, what I love about Liondesk, though, it's affordable. And when I was coaching clients here last year and the year before, that was the first thing I recommended, just because from the affordability. But David, tell us, let's jump into it. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Obviously, we know that you founded Liondesk, but tell us a little bit of your background.
Sure. Glad to be here, guys. Sorry, a couple weeks ago I had to bail out.
No worries.
Good to be here. So, yeah, I started Liondesk about 2015. Before that, I was actually in the travel business. And so as a family travel company, we took the company online. It became everything. And I started the internet division. And we had built tools for our own salespeople, and we had about 700 or so agents across the country. And our whole thing was lead generation, lead distribution, follow-up. And so I got out of that, took about a year and a half off, started hanging out with my sister, who was an agent and still is. Went to open houses, went to listing appointments, and looked at the tools that it existed, and thought to myself, hey, I think I could probably do it better. And that was about 4-ish years ago. And, we continue to keep pushing forward, but we're having a lot of fun. And I love the industry. It's a lot of fun.
That's awesome, man. I think one of the cool things that you guys did, and this is coming from a real estate agent who was one of those 60%, especially early in their career, that didn't have a CRM and was really just kind of floundering around. Liondesk was one of the first ones that I signed up for a lot of reasons. One, it was affordable for a newer agent, right? And more importantly, it did a lot of the technology stuff that at the time, some other CRMs that remain nameless weren't really all that great. So I think it's just cool. And I've watched a couple of videos that you've done, but I just think it's cool how you recognized a big gap in the industry. I think before a few people did, especially with like being able to text message out of CRMs, things like that just make an agent's life way easier. So, that was one of the things. Liondesk been on my radar for a long time. So that's cool, man.
Yeah, that was always the goal, right? I mean, it's not, I wanted to have an affordable product because I knew that, salespeople in general and real estate, even more so, it's, waves and these peaks and valleys, right? In terms of when you're making money. So I have to spend a whole lot on a tool just didn't make a lot of sense for me. And so we wanted to make it really affordable. And then, offering texting. I mean, that's where, 98% or 99% of people read text messages. So why not leverage that technology? And you know, we continue to push forward. You know, we're not sitting back. We're launching new products. And for us, it's always been just making tools that are easy to use and affordable. And the goal is to help every agent just sell more homes and keep in contact with their clients.
And David, where do you see the industry going? I mean, this is a broad question. Where do you see the industry going with utilizing technology? And then I've got a follow up to that as well.
It's a good question. So, you know, I think there's going to be more of these, a lot of specialized tools that are going to exist. You know, like every year, if you go to these conferences, there's a lot of companies that are trying to tackle one particular issue. And so there's a lot of great products out there, and that's what we try to do is bring them into the fold, because we don't want to be an all-in-one system, right? Like what we want to do is basically be, you know, do what we do really well: lead aggregation, distribution, follow-up, nurturing, whatnot, right? And then plug into these other really great products that are in the industry, and be kind of the hub. And so a few years ago, everything was just all in one, right? And I think that's really shifted to this more kind of a hub and spoke model of these best-in-class tools. And then you've also got, you know, KW and Remax that are out there building these platforms. And I think it's a great idea what they're doing. I think that the, you know, the platform model is what we've been working on the last couple of years. Again, plugging everything in, right? And so for the KWs that are out there, and we're gonna, I mean, in all honesty, I'm chatting with them, and we're probably going to be having a lot of integrations with their new systems. You know, same thing with Remax. But then on the other side of the token, you've got tons of independent brokers. One of my best friends is an independent. You know, and these companies can't and don't have the money, nor should they spend it on building tech tools. You know, and I talk to a lot of these other brokerages, and they have some in-house stuff, and I say, listen, you know, if you can do it, great, but this is all I think about all day long is the tools, the efficiencies, the processes, you know, continue to innovate. And so I think tech in general, it's always going to speed up. And, you know, but it's going to be guys like myself and a lot of other our friends and partners who hopefully stay ahead of the curve. And we don't have to be a year ahead, right? We just got to be 15 minutes ahead of the competition.
And that was going to be my next question to it is with brokerages getting into it, do you see that as a threat to companies like yourself, or does that benefit you guys?
No, I think it's great. In fact, when I was meeting with the chief product guy at Keller Williams, I said the best thing that you could have done was announce this cloud platform, because it reiterates what I've been trying to say. You know, for the last couple of years in terms of where I think everything is going. And so for me, it's great. You know, like I'm not naive to think that we're going to get everybody using our platform, our system. You know, we have a lot of growth ahead of us, and we've grown very quickly. But the more, you know, there's a spotlight on the fact that people need this tool, the more people are aware of what we do, and then it grows our business. And it's one of those, you know, kind of the rising tide lifts all boats. You know, one of our competitors just got bought out, and we can talk about that. But it's, you know, the more visibility into what we do, the better.
Well, I mean, to that thing about your competitors, I mean, it seems like that's going on a lot, right? The huge data grab that everybody's doing. Big companies are buying up these smaller companies in order to get little pieces of data. What did I hear recently that? Man, I'm going to totally butcher this, but there was the AFL guy, the football league that just folded.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
The guy who put all that money into it literally bought that just for a specific piece of technology in an app
Really?
that's supposed to make in-game betting even better. So he essentially bid all this money, paid $80 million to get the app, and then shut the league down so he could have the technology on the app, right? So it's happening in all kinds of industries. So I'm curious, and I don't know anything about this buyout that you're talking about, but that seems to be going on a lot in our industry right now, that huge data grab. What are you seeing on your end, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the data analysis, the machine learning, you know, the AI is hugely important, and it's having data is great, but it's really what you do with that, right? Like we have, you know, hundreds of thousands of leads going through our system, you know, on a monthly basis, millions of conversations, and you know, I wouldn't even know like where to start unless we had like a data scientist, which we're looking at. But our goal isn't to sell the data. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, people are like, oh, what are you gonna do with our data? And it's nothing. Like, the goal that we have is to gather the data and then help our clients, like broker and agent side. But I mean, you do have this consolidation where everyone says, data is the most important thing, and it is, as long as you can actually do something with it. It's kind of like, back in the day where it was like, content is king on websites, right? Like, or just pushing this stuff out. And it is, as long as you have the right content, and so there's definitely going to be a shift, at least on the tech side, because even in the past 3 years, since 3 or 4 years since I've been doing this in the real estate side, man, it's accelerated. Like things that I thought we should be doing a year ago, like we've shifted, and we're doing something else. And it's just like that's another reason why just being a pure tech company, just because you say you're a tech company doesn't mean you are, right? Where you get your revenue is where I ask. And that's why, like, our whole focus, like, we're able to shift very quickly, where a big enterprise that has most of their revenue coming from agents or salespeople, whatever, it's more difficult. And so it's definitely not easy. It's easy to say you're a tech company. It's actually harder to be one. I can tell you that.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Ryan.
Oh my gosh. I just joined the podcast for the first time today.
Welcome.
Yeah, I'm sorry I interrupted you. Well, no, like you said, I mean, it is accelerating, and that brings me to a question, because one of the things about your platform that's so attractive, especially to individual agents as well, is its affordability, right? And it provides great tools at a price that newer and agents that don't quite have that capital can still really afford. As things accelerate, and like you said before, it's really going towards a lot of specialized tools right now. Those things are, the combination of those specialized tools make up more robust platforms, and those things can come at a price, right? And so for 3 people that spend an exorbitant amount of money every month on CRMs and run large teams, we're capable of doing things for our clients and doing things on the lead generation side, that a lot of other agents and especially individuals just cannot do. How do you see the acceleration of technology feeding into those larger teams and their abilities and their tools? How do you think that is going to create a larger chasm between the service that a large team can provide as opposed to the individual agent?
Yeah, I mean, as an individual agent, you hit the nail on the head, right? Like, you guys have, as a larger team, the resources to not only supply the tools, but also know what's out there, right? Mm-hmm. And so, as an individual, I think that's why there's just a shift more towards teams, right? I think people know that it's just harder and harder to do it on their own. I mean, it is really hard, right? You got to specialize and do what you do best.
Right.
And so, for all of this new stuff coming out, for example, on the AI stuff, right? Like, we just launched a product called Lead Assist, which is basically, it's a buyer and seller AI, right? So a lead comes in, and you're an agent, you're busy, you're showing a house, or you're picking up your kids from school, or you're doing something, right? Soccer game or whatever. The AI follows up on that lead, and you can see all of that happening from within the Liondesk app. And so we didn't build that, right? We partnered with another company, but we made it highly integrated. And I think that's where a lot of the stuff, even on individual agents, can go. So right. You mentioned low price point, but then you can stack on these other products. And if you're right. a team leader, you've got you have the ability to do that. But even as the individual agent, right? Like, a year ago or 2 years ago, right? A lot of people were focused on like Google ads and whatnot. Now it's Facebook, and it's just so cheap to generate leads, to where, the way I think about it is like, we really don't have a lead problem in real estate. We have a follow-up problem. I mean, that's obviously what we're trying to solve. But by stacking on these different tools inside of the platform, which is what we're trying to build, and KW, right? I think it's going to help the individuals, as much as the teams. And I always tell people, like, we built our products for the individual, and then we layered on team and broker stuff, right? Yeah, because it really comes down.
Yeah, and that's what's so cool about what's coming out, is that even as an individual agent, your technology can scale with your business because everything's so highly integrated.
For sure. Yeah, you add one person and then you get a teammate on. My sister had a couple people with her team. My buddy who's a broker, he was using it. He was a solo broker. He broke away from one of the largest teams here in San Diego. He started his own brokerage, and then he's grown his team. And we Liondesk has been able to scale as well over the last couple of years, right? And so it's a moving target, you know, I mean, and there really is not like a single system that's out there. I think, you know, it would be insane to think that you're going to have one system do everything. You know, you just got to pick and choose what works for you and, you know, stick with it for a little bit.
And if you're watching this right now live, drop an L in the comments. We want to get some engagement here on this. Or I know Matthew Soto just made a comment. He said he's been using Liondesk for a couple of years now and loves the platform. So if you're watching live, just type L in the comments. Give us some hearts, give us some loves. Share this out. Tag some agents in there, especially some newer ones. And let's get the word out on this. If you're listening to us on iTunes, leave us a review. We were in the top 50. We bounced out a little bit on that. So that fluctuates every day like gas prices. So we want to get back into that top 50 group. And then if you're on YouTube, you can go ahead and subscribe, ring that bell, and so you can watch our videos out there. But David, so, you know, with last year and the year before, the word was disruptor, technology, and disruptors, right? And so one of the things that's been played out in my mind is technology. Are tech companies going to come in and really ruin this industry and put us out of business the way, you know, they say they did to travel agents? Where do you see your vision with this? And will we, in 10 years, are the real estate agents going to be, you know, very few the way that we see travel agents today?
You know, it's funny. So I came from the travel business, right? And everybody thought that the cruise lines were going to put us all out of business because they were all going direct. And that's kind of like having Zillow go direct, right? Mm-hmm. And sure, a certain percentage of transactions that are easy, low cost, like those are going to be the ones that are going to go to the iBuyer program. And on the travel side, you know, a lot of companies went out of business, a lot, because they didn't change. We grew our business from a brick and mortar, San Diego-based travel agency where people walked in and we showed them brochures. With the largest, you know, one of the largest, we either number one or number two, depending on the cruise line, seller of cruises in the world. Wow. And the company today still exists, and they do $500 million in sales. So travel agents didn't go away; they just shifted what they did, right? And then the companies that were able to move, like ours, ultimately became much more successful. And I think that's going to happen on the real estate side, right? Like as technology improves, the time it takes to close a transaction is going to get, you know, shorter and shorter, right? I mean, that's a good thing for everybody involved. Consumers today have just as much information about a property as an agent does, just like they do about a trip down to Bahamas, right? And so the role of the salesperson on the travel side, and I think on the real estate side as well, is going to be, you know, still, you want somebody still to blame when something goes wrong, right? I mean, you're spending in San Diego $700,000, and I got to tell you, man, like if you know, if I had the choice, like I don't want my wife yelling at me, I'd rather have somebody to blame, and that's really a big reason, right?
Yeah, that's a good story.
Yeah, and then you got all the legal issues. So 5 years from now, yeah, you know, Zillow's going to have some iBuyer stuff, but I got to tell you, you know, the NAR statistic that says that 90% of your clients, of an agent's clients, buyer and seller, said they would use you again, but only 12% actually did, right? So Zillow wouldn't be around if 75% of those clients went to those same agents. They just wouldn't, right? Exactly. And so I think what we as the industry have to do is just be better at, you know, keeping these relationships, right? Because every house that Zillow has on the iBuyer that's selling right now was sold to that client by an agent, because nothing else existed before that, unless it was a FSBO or something, right? Mm-hmm. And yeah, like I said, you know, like, will we lose clients, or will you, you know, the agent, you lose clients to Zillow and Realtor.com and these guys? Sure. Yeah, no doubt, right? And then there won't be agents around that just, you know, are able to pick up one or two deals a year. But for those successful teams and brokers that have a brand, have a model, and have systems in place to follow up with their clients, they're just going to grow, in my opinion, just like we did in travel.
I wish I wouldn't get put in Facebook jail for sharing out our video every time I do, because every single week, it does not seem to matter who we have on here. no matter what part of this industry they come from, every single person is saying, yes, technology is coming in and going to walk alongside you. But if you didn't have the relationship and the follow-up skills, Zillow's not your problem, right? Like, that's not what's hindering your ability. And it's just across the board. And I think new agents think so much that there's a magic pill. That stat you threw out about using the 90% would reuse their agent, only 12% do. That's an insanely telling stat. I think it's a great business generation tool as well. Every time you have a buyer for one of your listings, they should go in an orphan buyer program, because chances are they are not going to use that agent again.
I mean, just to piggyback off that, we just booked a trip to Mexico, all three of us, and we used a travel agent.
100% used a travel agent.
We did, yes.
And it was easy as hell.
But no, I mean, it takes a really long time to kill an industry as large as real estate. The problem is not Zillow. The problem is that exact stat right there. If you think that Zillow is going to destroy your business overnight, you haven't been doing a good enough job building relationships.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
What have you been seeing? I would like to know a little bit. I know Nick's got a really great question around this too, but I watched the video about your relationship with the California regional MLS, right? And I don't know if in Texas it's different. I'm curious about what some of the major advantages to the CRM and the MLS teaming up, right? Like, because it looks really cool to me.
Yeah. Yep. So, again, our goal is just like any other goal, right? Is any other company is to, and I've said this over the last couple of years, like, I want to be that Netflix button on the remote, right?
Yeah,
where
100%.
it just started showing up. And it's funny because I got one here in front of me. And everyone's just like, oh, what is that, right? And it's brand awareness for us was obviously the first goal. But then secondarily, we started hearing from our clients that, what they really wanted was, how do we connect the MLS inside of Liondesk? And so we've been working over the past year, not just on, these MLS deals where we can offer it out. So like CRMLS, for example, all 96,000 agents inside of CRMLS get Liondesk for free, right? And so they can still upgrade if they want to use more texting and whatnot. But as a brand new agent, or of the 60% that don't have a CRM, like, it's included. Like, just click on the button, like, you get it for free, and we'll train you just like everybody else. And we're working, just so Matt, on like, Texas and Florida and all these other ones. So it's, we're going to be launching in more and more. But the idea that we've been putting together inside of Liondesk is to have the CRM, but then also when you get a new lead, right, you want to say, you want to see like all the details about that lead, not just the social profile of the client, but the properties they've been looking at, and then the details about those properties. And again, the efficiencies. If you have to get that lead on your phone and then load up another app and then type in the listing ID or go to your computer to search it, like, you're just wasting time that you don't have.
Right.
What you should be doing is looking at it right away and calling the client and talking about the property, right?
Yep.
And so that's why we're bringing it in. So there's a data aspect of it, a data play as well, because again, what we want to do is just make it so easy for when you get a lead or you have a past client, or you get a referral, like, it's all basically right there at your fingertips. You don't have to keep bouncing around to all these other apps. And we launched a beta of the MLS stuff. We're out in Michigan and RealComp as well. We launched the beta of our MLS platform out there, and the goal is to launch something on a wider scale basis next quarter sometime, or at the end of this quarter. But we just, it's visibility for one. We want to get the app in front of everybody, and then we want to have the data just really highly integrated to just make it easy so you can spend your time, doing what you do best, which is selling homes, and not having to figure out what the heck is what.
Love it. And shout out right now to Gabby Beard. We've got Timmy Grogan, of course, lady. She didn't get any love, so she called us out on that.
Thank you, babe.
Jennifer Kelderman and Elizabeth Austin for commenting and watching live right now. David, what is your? This is still MLS talk, and this is something that us three have talked about before. And we're having here locally, we're having some. I'm not going to call them issues, maybe frustrations with Zillow in terms of what they're requesting data-wise from our MLS providers. Do you believe that is your thought process? I'm a believer in having a national MLS. What's your take on that, and what should there be any changes with how the MLSs are?
I think that would be great. I think just knowing what I know, I think it's gonna be really difficult because you have a lot of just people, right? Like if it were one person or a handful of people, it'd be no problem. But it's a people issue, right? Because everybody has their territories. We all want to protect, what we have. And I think that's the biggest issue in it. I mean, consolidation is going to occur. We've already seen it on the MLS side. That is, will probably increase, although there's been some big consolidations that haven't worked out well, right? And so, a national MLS would be great. On the other hand, like, how many times are you going to look, at properties in San Diego, right? Like, is it really that big of a deal to have it? As a tech company, I'd love it. It would make it really easy. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's going to make the consumers any more efficient. And other than the fact that, like, maybe combining a couple MLSs inside of individual markets, it would surely, because, like, I know in Atlanta, for example, there's like 2 MLSs with 80% crossover, right? Like, that seems pretty inefficient. And then you got to have the agents and the brokers buying MLS, subscriptions for both of them. Mm-hmm. But I think, there's been a lot of companies that have tried. You had Upstream, and you've got all these other companies that are trying to do something, but again, I think it just comes back to the leadership, whether or not people actually want it or not.
Would that slow down the fuel of like a Zillow, of taking market share, or are they too far, branded that wouldn't slow down even their buyer program?
Nah, because they already have data from every MLS that's out there.
I was going to say,
just like we could,
it easier, because then it's only one MLS for them to crack into, right?
Yeah, I mean, they've got all the data, man. I mean, we can go out there and pull all the MLS data across the country in about 2 weeks if we wanted to. Like, there's aggregators that are out there. I don't think it's going to slow them down. I mean, their biggest thing that they're doing now, I mean, they're shifting so quickly. And I chat with the guys at Zillow a lot, and ladies at Zillow a lot, and it's just, 1 month it's this, the next month it's that, but they're moving quick, and they're smart people. And I think as an agent, you should be aware, and as a broker and a team leader, you need to be aware of what's going on, so that when you have those conversations with your client, you can tell them, like, hey, listen, sure, you can sell it with Zillow. And hell, man, on their homepage for their seller thing, it says something to the effect of, like, sell make it easier or something, and so they're digging. Like, they are digging deep into what agents are doing. But going back to the statistic, if instead of 10%, 50% of those clients were working with the same agent, there would be no iBuyer program.
Right.
It's just going to be a larger focus on the experience you provide, which is something that I'm personally prepared for.
Yeah.
I just think a lot of the agents who are freaking out are maybe ones who have large ad spends with Zillow, right? And they're worried about that business going away. And then the agents who just don't really have a game plan for staying in a relationship with people. It's
everything they generate is cold.
Yeah,
so.
everything they generate, and they're constantly going back and having to grab new business, which is exhausting, right? There's just no referral to it. And the burnout in our industry doesn't help that either. Most agents are gone before they have a chance for the return business because they're just not in it for more than a couple
years. And then
years.
there's the groupthink fear around that gets people exiting early, because
right.
If you're already thinking about quitting and everybody's saying that Zillow is going to take over the world, why'd you fucking stay around anyway?
It's just red for the hills.
I talked to a guy. I talked to a guy yesterday whose daughter goes to the same school as mine. He's an agent. And he was like, man, I think we've got a 10-year run of things being great. And I was like, well, you're the only person that I hear ever saying that. Like, but you don't know. Like, I mean, so much of it, you're right. Like, it's attitude, it's like, what am I going to do to differentiate, to be better, to keep pushing forward? And you can get sucked down into these Facebook holes of, like, how miserable things are. And, like, the shift is coming, be prepared. And it's like, now focus on your clients, for Christ's sake, like, keep in contact with them, build your business, and then just keep going. Like, don't get distracted so easily. And we all do, man. We get distracted so easily, where it's just like you take your eye off the ball.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. I wanted to ask you guys, not to get, existential here, but we're talking more about the acceleration of technology. And I think the biggest fear, not the biggest fear, one of the things that people talk a lot about technology is that, as it accelerates, the shiny new toys last. The lifespan of the shiny new toys are shorter and shorter and shorter, right? So I'm not like a historian, but I'm just going to say that the telephone was invented in like 1897. That's probably right.
Sounds good to me.
So,
Right?
yeah,
I don't know.
All right, so from then up until the late 80s, arguably, or early 90s, that was the only way to communicate with people outside of spoken word, right? Or letters, right? And then we had email, huge leap forward. Texting, huge leap forward, right? Digital media, social media, digital branding and content, things like that. The acceleration of technology has picked up incredibly in the last, 3 decades or so. But with that comes, this sort of homogenous nature in the sense that once a large enough portion of the demographic has mastered things in a sense, it becomes less effective, right? Like we see that with cold calling right now, right? Because everybody's been doing it for so long, people don't want to pick up the phone anymore, right? And it will happen with email and text and stuff as well. Then, sort of the thing that has accelerated us even more forward right now is AI, right? And that's going to be the next frontier for what I think is quite a while. Is there a fear going forward that, at some point, everything is just going to be completely homogenized. Everybody's going to basically do the same thing tech-wise, and we're going to, I wouldn't say run out of ideas, but what is the next frontier to keep these things moving forward and to keep that sort of distinction between technological tools and their value?
Yeah, I've got I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but Google a few months ago had this demo where the Google AI had called, make a haircut appointment.
Make a barber appointment, yeah.
I mean, that tripped me out, I was like, man, I feel like I want to know if I'm talking to a robot or not. Right. And so, it just blew my mind. And I mean, there's probably stuff that those guys are working on that we just have no idea, idea. Right. And so I think a lot of it is really going to come down to the relationships. I mean, this business, travel's one thing, to where it's definitely more like advisory role, where real estate is more relational based because it's very hyper local. I mean, I can sell a cruise to you guys that goes to Mexico, and I could be sitting on my patio up in, down here in San Diego, right? Where real estate, you got to be there with the person, you're going to walk through. And so you see things like these automated home tours, right? Where you the little iPads on this contraption, it moves around, and the agent's face is there, and God knows, maybe in 10 years, maybe it's not even, it's just like a robot's face. Sure, is it going to go there? Yeah, I would be surprised if it didn't, right? I mean, I think that AI is really going to change dramatically a huge portion of the process. I mean, we're already seeing it already, even with our own stuff that we launched. People are getting these text messages. The AI is misspelling words, correcting them on the next text, giving thumbs up emojis, qualifying these clients, and they don't know. It's the assistant, is the AI, right? Yeah. It's a human for all they know. And, it's just going to keep going more and more that way. The thing that the computer is not going to do, at least in the next few years, right? Who knows what the heck's going to happen in 5 years? Because look how far we've come just in 5, is actually, build a relationship to meet that person in person, to walk them through and hand them the keys and give them a little gift and say, hey, I'm super pumped about your house. Let me know if you need anything, Yeah. And I think that's where we really all need to focus on, is that relational aspect, because conversational, transactional, that stuff is going to be replaced by a computer, because it can be.
Yeah.
Dude,
everything can, well, at least with minimal human intervention. I mean, the cross applications are crazy. So I don't know if you guys know do you guys know what you're doing when you type in the blurry captcha things, right? So when you have to prove that you're a human being online and you type in the word that looks
half the
weird.
time those things are barely legible anyways.
Yeah,
it seems
do you know why they're barely legible? Do you know what you're doing?
I have no idea.
You're translating digital books.
Training them.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
So what you're doing is this is not how it's done anymore, but there's such a back catalog of it that they're still doing it. When they originally started translating books from paper format to a digital format, right? They had a very primitive version of AI that could read the words and stuff like that, but it wasn't perfect. They were reading scanned copies, so there's always imperfections and blurry words that came up. So the same guy that invented the app Duolingo came up with the CAPTCHA software, and basically millions of times a day for free, human beings all around the world help them with the blurry words that they can't see on their digital books.
I hate those blurry words. I think it's amazing, though, that you're talking about the AI. The AI is obviously smart enough to spell the words correctly in the first time. it is intentionally misspelling words just so it can send the follow-up text.
Yeah.
I mean, is that what's happening?
Yeah.
So that way it looks like a real
for sure.
person.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, no,
amazing
for sure.
to me. And not
it
scary
introduces
at all. I
itself.
love it.
No, I mean, it's insane, and it's just going to get better. I mean, we're sending out millions of text messages a month out of Liondesk, right, and receiving millions of text messages as well. And that's what, going back to the data side of it, right? Like, that's where it gets really neat, because we can get to the point where, our goal is to keep the agent in the middle of the transaction, right? And so most agents, especially if you're new, have no idea what to say. They don't know how often to say it. And so what we want to do is get to the point where we can make these suggestions and say, you should be saying this. So if a client says, I got to ask my wife, here's the best response. And you're already seeing this stuff on like LinkedIn, right? And even Facebook, like pre-fill in the answers for you and whatnot. But it's where it's all going. It's going to take the compression down in terms of like contact to face-to-face very quickly. It's going to increase closing ratios. There's no doubt in my mind, because I can tell you, even after the AI follows up with these clients and it gets passed off to the agent and they get a text message saying, hey, you need to follow up with this client because they've just been pre-qualified on beds, baths, loan, everything. There's still a percentage of agents that weren't following up with those people, which blows my mind, right? And those are the ones that are probably just going to be out of business in a couple of years, right? Because they're just, either they don't know what they're doing, or they're don't have the time to do it, right? But those that are able to focus on, again, building that relationship are going to win in this game, or in any game in sales.
So you're basically saying that people like me that absolutely obsess about and stay up late at night building out campaigns with automated text based on what they say and then where they go, and it's like my whole life building content. You're just going to build a robot that's way smarter than me, and I'm going to be out of a job pretty much.
Yes.
At least you still have your wall of books to
that's
keep
what
you
I pretty
warm.
much figured. I knew it was coming.
It's funny that you say that.
That is awesome, though.
It's funny that you say that about we were literally going through our database platform the other day and found an old lead from an agent that literally the agent was like, the lead was like, I have a home to sell, call me. It was the most laid down ever. And I go on the MLS and saw the home sold like 3 months later. Our agent on our end never responded to the lead. Like, that is a real estate agent's biggest dream ever, is to have like a lay down listing. And there was one just sitting there, and that I don't know if that agent's even still in real estate. They're certainly not on our team anymore.
Yeah.
Well, and one of the questions, first off, what we're going to probably start seeing is the real estate commissions trying to get those AI robots licensed, because they're probably doing licensed activity work unlicensed. Right? So I'm sure that these awful real estate commissions are going to somehow throw a tax on that. But Jennifer wants to know what sets Liondesk apart from other individual agent CRMs.
It's a good question. So I've only been doing this, like I said, for a few years. I think a lot of the other ones, and there's a lot of companies that include a CRM, in like a website or something. But for the most part, it's kind of a database manager. And what we have is, not only is it affordable, like you guys were saying, but easy to use, and then we integrate a lot of the stuff. I talked to a client this morning. It was about 6 a.m. His name's David as well. He's been a client of ours for a couple of years, and he made the point. He's like, man, you guys still have all this integrated video emails, video texts, the drip campaigns and everything, where a lot of other companies and all these CRMs still don't have this stuff. And it blows my mind. Like, when we did the texting, it was over 2 years ago, maybe 3. And so for us, it's the tool set that's in there, it's the integration. And then what I'm really excited about is what's coming up with our new version. We're launching a new transactions module. We're launching this MLS module. And so even after being in the business for just a short period of time, I made the decision about 1.5 years ago to rebuild everything from the ground up, which is very expensive. But, we're not just sitting back. We're taking all of the feedback that we get from our clients. We've got a real active Facebook group. And for us as a tech company, it's just about continual improvement, and making things better and better.
Yeah, man, I love it a lot. I mean, we're getting ready to wrap up here. We've only got a few more minutes. And mainly, I think from a CRM standpoint, I want people to know, like, obviously, you can go to liondesk.com and check it out and see if it works for them. But the we talk about it on all of our teams. You touched on it earlier, the content aspect of everything. Being able to send out video emails from a CRM and text message from a CRM is such a huge part of what agents should be doing right now. That, and I can name off some of them that are very, very antiquated, that don't have that capability at all. So when looking for a CRM, those are the exact type of things that new agents need to be looking for, man. So I think that's awesome that you guys provide that. I
think that's huge because, I could name several big-time players in this space that have been around forever that don't have that capability, and it's unbelievable what, well, I guess good old capitalism will do for you, right? Just breeding competition because we have such an advantage by having smaller companies that are really at the forefront of ideological advancement in those ways, because this gives you so many more options and stuff, especially if you're an individual. You can really put something together that provides a unique value proposition for you, even as an individual right now, just based on the technology that you choose and who you choose to partner with in that regard. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well, David, I definitely appreciate it. And where, other than Liondesk.com, or you mentioned you have a pretty active Facebook group. Is that only for Liondesk customers, or is that for everybody?
It's everybody can join it. I don't think we deny anybody, but it's a closed group. Just go, search Liondesk. There's a closed group. Just request it. Liondesk.com. Then we've got our Facebook and Instagram. I think it's like Liondesk CRM or something.
Perfect. Is there, any final words from, I want to hear from you. You're the tech guy. You come from the travel world. We do have. That's to be named to the Swanepoel's Powered, 200 watch list group is. I think it's even just 20 people, if I read it correctly, right? That was named to it.
Something like that. Yeah. It's, man, we got a good team. I would put our executive team up against anybody in the industry, and in our in-house team, we just moved into about a 10,000 square foot space over here in San Diego, and we're loading up our team, and we use Liondesk ourselves every day. We follow up on our leads. We put them on nurture campaigns. We don't have the AI, right? But every single one of our clients is inside of Liondesk, and we have a lot of fun, man. We go to a lot of events. But our whole thing, like I said, is just continuing to innovate, making things better. People can hit me up on Facebook. Like if they friend request me, I say, yeah. And then I get, Facebook messages all day long and reply to probably 95% of them really quickly. So I love the business. And I'm super pumped about what we've got coming up over the next quarter or two.
Yeah, man, and it shows too. You and your entire staff, just from my end, being able to converse with you guys over the past couple of weeks has been awesome. Everybody's super laid back, crazy accessible, so I have no doubt that you guys are putting out a relationship-based product, which our industry needs more of, so I think that's awesome.
Yeah, lots of fun, man.
Yeah, man, awesome. Well, thank you. Look, thank you so much for coming on. You're a cool ass guy. We're happy to have you on. If we're out in San Diego, we're gonna come crash your blue office and hang out over there and enjoy the good weather.
So there's like some orange too.
Oh, look at that! Nice.
There's some color there. So everyone can go to liondesk.com if they're interested in checking out the CRM. And of course, if you're watching this, drop some comments down below where we'll be answering questions in there. And if you have a question for David, maybe we can throw him in the group since he responds to 95%. And at the end of the day, if you are listening to this on iTunes, leave us a review.
Yeah.
Get us back. Let's get back in the top 50, please.
Yeah,
we need top 25 is our goal.
I think so.
And on YouTube, subscribe, hit the bell. And we've got some cool things that we are planning here.
Yeah.
We're really focused on getting out, the best content out there for you guys. It's free.
Yep.
It doesn't cost you a dime to listen to this,
right.
other than your time. And so we want to hear from you what we can hit on. I know that we're all going through some changes in our business constantly. So, you go watch that episode Pivot, which was a quick one, two episodes ago. And so that we're constantly doing that in our business. Yeah. And so, let us know what kind of products you're interested in hearing from. We probably have tested and used it.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I've used Liondesk. I've referred it out to our clients before.
Right.
And we want to test things out that new agents and even veteran agents are having trouble with.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome, David. Thank you so much, man. We truly appreciate it, buddy.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, guys. You come to San Diego. We'll have a beer.
Damn.
Definitely.
That is a deal. Awesome. All right. Well, until next week, guys. Derek, take us out, my man.